Hey everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to the Ridge. Today, we're going to just give you a brief update on our tobacco garden here. As you can see, I think we're doing a lot of things right. Stick around, we'll tell you what they are.
Join us.
Sweet Maple Ridge Farms. Come on down, everybody. Go!
All right, so here's our tobacco garden. We don't smoke, we don't chew or anything like that. We're just growing it as a novelty. Look at these beautiful flowers. This is a Virginia Gold, and each one of these are seed pods, and they're filled with something like 1,000 seeds per seed pod. And if you're standing here, you could hear them rattle in there when I do that. It's wild. The flowers smell amazing. They're really pretty. It's a pretty plant. Just look how big these leaves are. The leaves are huge. We're going to take a walk down here. Now, we're only going to let one of each variety flower out because we don't want them making flowers. We want them to concentrate on making gigantic leaves. This is another Virginia Gold. These leaves are absolutely huge. You can see they started to flower and we took the top off, just like you're supposed to. And we give them fertilizer every 7 days. We give them Miracle Grow, just plain old Miracle Grow. Every 7 days, we give them an organic fertilizer, and we give them bone meal, and we rub that into the ground right around the roots. We do that every 7 days, and we water them in with fish emulsion rather, and plain old Miracle Grow. Look how big these things are getting. Absolutely unbelievable. Look how big around the stalk is. The stalk is huge. I mean, you think these things are, they're wild. You know they're starting to get crazy when they get like this ruffling down here by the stalk. You can really see it here. You start to get this like ruffle stuff going on. So this one we've taken the top off of. This is another Virginia Gold. So that's our fertilizing regimen. They get watered automatically once in the morning at 6:30 for 3 minutes. And they get watered once in the evening at 6:30 for 3 minutes. We have our automatic watering system here, which is nothing more than an old garden hose with holes drilled in it. And we have an automatic waterer. It turns it on and off. That's all you need to do. And we have a nice bed of straw so they don't dry out. We have a tobacco plant, 2 tobacco plants, over at the house in a potted plant, in a pot. They get watered when we water them. And I will say this, every single day almost, especially in the summer heat, right around 5 o'clock, look out there, they're starting to wilt. These things need a lot of water, and they're heavy feeders. They need a lot of nutrition. They need a lot of Miracle Grow. They need calcium in the form of bone meal. They need all that stuff. They are heavy feeders, so you got to be dedicated to this thing. We'll show you a picture of the potted ones so you'll see the difference.
Here are 2 potted Virginia Golds. You can see how narrow the stalks are. The leaves aren't nearly as big as the ones that are actually planted in the ground. These get water whenever we decide to water them, and they get Miracle Grow whenever we decide to Miracle Grow them. They don't really get anything else, and they're just sort of spindly.
But anyway, one thing you need to do is make sure to remove all the suckers. Here's a sucker. This is trying to grow another stalk. We don't want it to grow another stalk. We don't want it to grow flowers. So we're pulling off the flowers. We're pulling off the suckers. There's another sucker right there. It's trying to grow. We don't want that. We want it to put all its energy into, there's another one here, into making big leaves. Now be careful, because the leaves, when they get to this size, they're pretty fragile. They're fragile and they're sticky. So here's another sucker down here. Some say you should wear gloves to do this. It's never bothered me. Here's a perfect example of a sucker right there. Get him. Remove all that. Another nice stalk here. They're wild. It's real sticky. And I guess it's nicotine, I don't know. But real sticky, like glue. All right, so the rest of these are Canadian bold. We wanted to try these because we sort of have a climate like that. They grow these in Ontario a lot. And you can see they're growing great here. We do the exact same thing to these that we do to the Virginia. The exact same thing. Not a single thing different. Here's the sucker. You want to pull that off. We don't want them growing new stalks. There's a new sucker down there that's trying to form. Right there. We're going to wait for him to get a little bigger. But these Canadian bold, look at these. Leaves are huge. Everybody's doing great. Stalk is gigantic. That's why you got to fertilize these things. Because you need a nice heavy stalk in order to support these plants. Because these are big leaves. All right. Here's a couple of the last one. Absolutely huge. Looking great. A couple suckers here to pull off. There's another one in there. Yep. All right. And then we're going to let this one flower. Again, this is a Canadian bold. We're going to let this one flower. So he'll be flowering soon. This is actually a different tobacco plant growing up out of this one. There must have been two in the pot that I planted. But anyway, you can tell they're about to flower when they start looking like this. So that is going to turn into this. So we're going to let him get a little closer to flowering, and then we're going to rip him off too. So we put these on the outside of our garden. No animal has messed with them. Everybody stays away from them. The deer come over. We've seen them sniff them, but that's it. Let me take you inside to the ones that we have growing inside the garden.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We really appreciate it.
All right, these are the Virginia Gold tobacco plants that are inside of our garden. We have them planted next to the beans. These things look great too. Nice big plant or leaves. They were struggling to get going in the beginning. They had to contend with slugs. The slugs were really bad this year. So the slugs really did a number on them in the very beginning. But I'll say this. Once they got big enough, nothing messes with them now. I mean, you can see right here, there's really, you might find like a couple little bugs on them every now and then, but they're not really doing anything. This plant here is even starting to turn yellow down here at the bottom. I think this leaf here probably stand a couple more days to be removed. Some of these down here, which is wild because these haven't been topped yet, except for this one has. A couple of them have, but they look great. So you can grow them inside your garden. You can grow them outside your garden. As long as you give them water. That's what I was getting ready to say. They contended with a couple things the beginning of the year. The slugs and our waterer, the holes, we were thinking that they were getting water, but the holes were actually plugged, so they weren't. They didn't die, though. So we unplugged the holes, and they just exploded. So they're super easy to grow. These things, the hardest part about tobacco is getting it to germinate because the seeds are so small. Once you get it to grow, unless like there's something majorly wrong with your soil, they're gonna grow. They're gonna be super easy. They are super easy to grow. So anyway, that's it. That's the video. We hope you found it helpful. If you like it, make sure you hit the like button. Definitely hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time out here on the ridge.